Talent, everybody. At Jim Talent, AAI.org. What's going on, Jimmy? How are you?
I'm fine, Jamie. That video is really, really shocking. I hope it's a wake-up call to everybody about what's happening in the country in terms of how we view these things. It's really distressing. So
yeah, you know what this calls for? This calls for a rendition of Strange Fruit at the inauguration. Oh, never mind. That's about racism towards blacks. Never mind.
Jamie, and as I get older, I start looking back more, and I remember growing up when the objective, anyway, the aspiration was not to see skin color. In other words, to view people as people.
Yeah.
And everybody understood that we weren't there yet, but that was the aspiration that everybody joined in. And I think the only time we made progress in this country is when that was the goal. And understanding that as a practical matter, we're not there yet, but that's where we need to try and go. And I think we've retreated away from that, and so a lot of this attitudes that when I was younger were not acceptable have become acceptable, and I'm not sure what to do about it. It certainly has gotten worse in the last 8 years.
No doubt about it. I mean, and that's this so-called post-racial president has, in my opinion, done more to harm race relations than help them. And I know that there are some people, clearly, obviously, who didn't want to. I get it that there are some people out there who didn't want a black president. And I'm sure there are some people out there who attack President Obama because he's black. I understand that. The same way there are people who are attacking Donald Trump because he's white. But nonetheless, I mean, there's always going to be those people out there. But generally, there hasn't been much done to kind of smooth things over, because every time something happens, President Obama comes out and gives a speech, or Michelle Obama does an interview about how horrible America is, or about how everybody's racist, even the cops, and that creates tension.
Yeah, and listen, to fight real racism, you have to do two things. You have to call it out when you see it, no matter who is doing it. And the other thing you have to do is not call it out when it isn't there. So when it's a political difference, I've disagreed with Barack Obama about everything, or almost everything, and would have, regardless of what his skin color was. And so, you don't call it out when it is there. You do call it out when it is. And we're not doing either now. I mean, we're doing both things wrong now. So I'm not saying that led to this. I mean, the people who did this are the ones responsible for it. I don't blame society, when somebody does something like this, but it ought to be a wake-up call.
Hey, Jimmy, on to one other subject. What is up with Chuck Schumer? There's this interesting dance he's doing, he and Donald Trump have been doing. At one hand, they were seemingly a little chummy, to the degree that there were some people even attacking Trump for being too chummy with Chuck Schumer. And suddenly, Schumer is out, and I guess apparently he's trying to assuage the fears of the left-wing base, and he's just firing on all different kinds of cylinders regarding, the cabinet appointments, the Supreme Court appointments. What's his strategy here? What's he doing?
I think, to the extent that we can infer anything, it's what you're saying, that he's sending a message to his base that he's going to fight Trump on a lot of things. Now, as you know, the Democrats removed the filibuster for most judicial nominations and executive branch nominations. So he can't stop them through that, and probably wouldn't have stopped very many anyway through that. As a general rule, the Senate tries to give the president the people he wants in the posts, at least in the executive branch posts, on the theory, which I always subscribe to, the president's entitled to have broad discretion in picking his own assistants. So we'll see what he actually does. I think this is a lot of sparring, and we're not going to really know until these nominations start coming up on the Senate floor.
Yeah, and I sometimes wonder whether or not, in some ways, that Schumer is also playing a game where they know they're going to be just run over and defeated on a number of different levels, and so he's trying to go after some low-hanging fruit in order to kind of give people an indication that, well, we'll fight these cabinet positions because they're probably going to get rolled over on Obamacare. They're probably get rolled over on tax reform and other issues. So,
well, the underlying problem he's got is that, like on Obamacare, he's trying to defend a system that's tremendously unpopular. I mean, it has been ever since people realized what it was. I mean, they were lied to. They were told they could keep their doctors and they can't. The premiums would go down and they've gone up. The system would get better. It's gotten worse. And so he's trying to defend a system that people don't like, with a lot of senators who are in a sensitive position because they're up for re-election. So he's got a maneuver, and Chuck Schumer's good at this, but I think Donald Trump's going to be good at it too. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
All right, my friend. Well, Jim Talent, thanks so much for being with us as always. Happy New Year to you. And again, appreciate all you've done for us in 2016, and we look forward to 2017 with you, my friend.
And Happy New Year to you too, my friend.
All right, that's Jimmy Talent, and your phone calls are welcome, 969-9797, 866-455-9797. Yeah, I mentioned that song, Strange Fruit. I think it's about time the Trump inaugural committee tells Rebecca Ferguson to take a hike. I'll explain that on the other side of this break, plus Kennedy's on the way, Jim Hoft, and Chris Wallace.